Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vision for Us podcast. I'm your host, Terrence.
And I'm Angelica.
And we're the Prathers. So today's topic, what do we have today?
We got a real good one for our audience.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking all about the real truth about starting over in business. So maybe you failed in your first attempt.
In just business or business and life or just business?
We're going to focus on the business today, right? We don't just talk about the business.
Okay.
So maybe you failed in life or failed at your business or feel like you failed or one didn't work out and now you're at another attempt at this, right?
At a pivot.
Yes, that beautiful word that I love, right? Love and hate all at the same time. So one of the things that we've shared in one of our previous episodes is that we've tried a lot of businesses together. And I think that is healthy for us as couples. You're trying to figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at. There's a lot of nuances that happens. First of all, if you're married, you got that aspect, but now you're building a business together and you kind of got to figure out what your strengths and your weaknesses are. And so the first kind of direction I want to go into is just for those particular couples that, starting over can actually feel like failure, but it isn't.
Okay.
And so I know for me personally, I was like, not another thing. Us trying again. I was looking at it as like, okay, we tried this. I said yes to a lot of the projects that he wanted to start. And so we've done quite a few things. The only thing that was probably stable was because I already had a salon business.
Mm-hmm.
So that was stable. But us doing something together, that was finding the nuances and starting over and why, to me, it felt like failure. But I needed to redefine what failure looked like.
Okay.
And then for you, what was it look like for you? Did you ever feel like all of the businesses that we were starting felt like failure?
Nope.
Why not?
No. We started it and we completed it. Just because if you see something from the beginning to the end, I wouldn't necessarily call it a failure. Who in whose eyes is it a failure?
I think it was more for me.
Yeah, I don't see it as a failure. I started something, I finished it, I completed it. And because we didn't make tons of money from it, is that the reason why it's a failure? And that's the only thing I can think of on why someone would think that business is a failure. Also, I would also add that a lot of people have a habit, or we as humans have a habit we start a business, and if it doesn't go our way within 6 months to a year, then we give up on that business. So because it's not going the way we thought it would go, or because there's so many ups and downs, or you don't have the money to keep bootstrapping that particular business. So I wouldn't say everything that we've started is a failure because we ended up finishing it.
Yeah.
I think the failure comes in starting it and then not finishing it.
I think for me, I had to redefine what failure looked like because I had started doing hair and it yielded a result right away. So for instance, I do a client's hair, they love it, I get paid. That's it, right? And rinse and repeat. When we were trying to find a business or when we were starting a business together, there was no immediate results. And so I had to kind of shift my mindset of what failure really looked like and started seeing it as, okay, that didn't work. It's really not a failure. It's a learning lesson. But that took me some time to develop that language.
But isn't failures on what millionaires and billionaires are made from? Failures.
All the time.
Yeah. So.
But you got to remember, like I said before, entrepreneurship becomes a mirror of what you don't deal with internally.
Okay.
It will always show up in one way or another. So for instance, for me, what was showing up was we're starting something that is out of my comfort zone, that's out of my wheelhouse for us together. And we're about to go on this journey of to me at that time, I'm like, okay, here we go again. Let's try this again.
But try what again?
So we were trying when we did the t-shirt line. That launched.
It's an apparel line, not just
an apparel line. That launched. I was on board.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school for fashion merchandise management. And so when he dreams real big, y'all. He's like, we're going to get 20 pieces. I'm like, no, you don't start a line with every color under the sun. You start off with with 3 colors, 3 workways, and that's for this particular launch. Then you build up a client list or whatever. So a lot of the things he would listen to me, but we were not at a place where we would listen to each other or trusting each other in a decision making. It was a lot of like pull.
I got a question. Yeah. Well, go ahead and keep going with the list first, and then I'll ask you my question.
Oh, so we did that.
Okay.
You started a podcast before, right? Because I wasn't on board, so he just like, forget it. She taking too long. I'm gonna just go do it. And you go right ahead, go do that.
And it was an audio podcast, but then producing it and editing it, and it's a lot.
The hair care product line, which it is not a dead thing. It's just a not now, right? Because that's always going to be my passion project. I still love the hair industry, but not from that particular angle. But I digress. So that got put on pause. I wouldn't say that it did feel like a failure a little bit because I thought I knew a lot in business and I launched that and didn't really steward the place we were at that time. So that was that. What else? Oh, we started a cleaning business.
Okay.
That would have been popping.
That would have
been popping. And here's the thing. When we launched that business, I had clientele that already needed, like they had multiple houses. They were in the short-term rental space. And because of the relationship of me being the hairstylist, I was like, sure, we'll hire your company. Fine. Let's just do a trial run. You tell me what your price is. We negotiate it. That's fine. He goes and does the first job with another family member of ours. And they were like, they did beyond what I could ever think, dream, or imagine. This is like a match made in heaven. And he was like, I'm not doing it. It's like, what? You're not going to do it? And thank God that particular client of mine, he understood. He was like, it's fine, whatever. But one of the negotiating things that's like a value for you was like, I would always have to work the weekends. We can never go to church as a family.
Right.
And so in the beginning of that business, he needed to work that business. And that just was not something at that time we wanted to sacrifice.
The family value.
The family values. But at that time, I'm like, go make that money. My mom was not on Jesus right. I wasn't right, y'all. Was not right. I was like, go make that money and let's get this going and popping, because we would have had 2 businesses that were thriving. But they were 2 service-based that would have definitely pulled us apart and not brought us together. And so even though at that moment I was like, that I wasn't feeling it. I had a little tood, y'all. Okay. But it wasn't the right thing. So even though at the time I didn't see it. What else did we do? Then we did the coaching business.
Right.
We did the media business.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those played a part into each other. They were very healthy for where we are today.
It is, because it gave me the education that I needed. If I would have never started that media company, I wouldn't be as deep as far. Well, any of those businesses that we started wouldn't have given me the education or helped me go and research, because we were bootstrapping and it was just you and I.
Yeah.
And we couldn't afford a team to build websites or to do that or put together this, or, it helped me learn new things.
And every website that he ever built for me, or, for our businesses, they were like, who built this? Like, it was always like from professional people. They always said, this is really good. Like, they were like, you don't need anything. Maybe you need like more copy or whatever.
Better copy.
But the aesthetics SEO. And the flow, the SEO, was just things that were like missing from the back end. But as far as like the look of it, you would think that someone professionally built it. So he's built me a lot of websites.
Yeah.
But it was really good. So now he can do a website with no time. So those are reps. And I had to understand that what I was identifying as failure were reps to get us to a place of where we are right now. And we're still learning and we're still on that wheel of learning, but it was very, very healthy. So I definitely don't call it failure now, but I call them reps. Like if you're in the gym and you're working out, you want that 6-pack automatically, but it takes time to actually get that. Got to get put in your reps. You got to eat right. You have to do certain things. So
now,
don't look at it.
The apparel line is not gone. It might be a different name, but I am working on something that's a passion project or a creative project of mine. I'm trying to do on the back burner, more on that later on. But yeah, the apparel line or having an apparel line is not.
Yeah. And my hair care I'm always going to be a part of the hair industry.
Okay.
I get asked all the time, mama's getting a little older and hair changes as you get older and stuff like that. So it's just, I think those are things you just have to prioritize what's in this season. So right now it's about you and I, and those particular projects can come. It's just not a right now. So they're on the shelf, but they're not forgotten about. So I had to re-identify what failure really looks like in my life.
Okay.
So here's the thing that I want to kind of like talk about is the challenges of letting go of the old ideas. How, for me, I already know. What are you messing with my mind? No, because I'm not talking into it. Yeah. The challenges of letting go the old ideas. Because a lot of times you come to the table, you have this idea, business is problem solving for somebody, right? You're solving some particular problem. And I think that letting go of the old idea wasn't working. That pivot sometimes feels like the stretching is hard. I know for me, I just wanted to stick to something long enough and say, okay, at least we fail, or we tried it long enough. I couldn't let go of the old version of myself, if I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. It was very hard for me to let go of the one version of being a hairstylist and a salon owner I was a salon owner for 10 years, but I've been a hairstylist since I actually graduated when I was out of high school. So I did that for most of my life, very similar to you coming out of the Marine Corps. He did that straight out of high school. So both of us had to let go of the old version of what that business looked like or that season of our lives. And so when you tie that into your business, when you don't want to even though I was like, okay, I wanted more time free.
Well, I've never let go.
No, because they have this motto, once a Marine, always a Marine, right?
It's true. So.
What's y'all little saying y'all say?
No, don't worry.
Okay, all right. They got a special language over there. You got a lot of abbreviations, but I'll divert back. One of the things of the old idea that I couldn't let go, I couldn't understand the online business and the brick and mortar business. To me, it felt so much easier to build an offline business.
A brick and mortar
is so much easier, in my professional opinion. And maybe because I come from a different era, that this online space, it was just, I don't know.
I think, looking back, I don't think it is any much easier. I think if we didn't bring in someone and at an early stage and we kept on the journey, just you and I together, I think it would have went differently.
I would agree. I think a part of that, the old version of that particular business, was I was trading my time for income. And I couldn't see clearly how to monetize the years of experience that I have in business, the strategies that I put in place that works, whether they're online and offline. That old version, I couldn't see that. And I think that hindered me to some degree, and also played with the confidence that I had. I couldn't let go of that, which is why I kept one foot in. I think once you're a hairstylist, very similar to the Marines, you're always a hairstylist. That's the foundation of your introduction to, and that's whatever you guys are doing, whatever you did in your life or whatever it is in your business that you guys are building, whatever that foundation, is sometimes won't be that way 10 years from now, 5 years from now. So I think keeping an open mind to letting go quicker is easier in business when you can just say, okay, that didn't work, move on. I'm not saying have like ADD when it comes to everything you got to have a swirl.
When do you move on? How do you know when to move on?
I go back to the relationship with God, because I feel like if every door is closing and you are still trying to bust through those doors, and it's like how much smoke and mirrors or anything like that, then it's time. So I'll tell you guys this. When I was doing hair and I became a mother, one of the prayers I prayed, I was like, there's no way that I've been great at doing hair for so long. How you bless me with these children. I want more time freedom, but I just don't know what that looks like. And I was praying. I read a journal that I wrote after I had Journey in 2017. It's still like in my notes. And I prayed for that. When God allowed me to have time freedom, I did not like it. When I realized that I got time freedom, I was pissed. So I'm like, I'm just in this house. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. I have all this time. And we had coaching clients at the time.
Okay.
And I was like, I wasn't even satisfied. It's like the one thing, sometimes you're so busy.
Is it because you weren't making the same amount of money that you were making as you?
Part of it. That can definitely be part of it. But I don't think it was so much of that. I just had so much time that I didn't know what to do with the time. And a lot of times, I know I keep saying time, but I think one of the things that, like, when you're praying and you're asking God to elevate you, you're asking God to strengthen your marriage, all those different things, sometimes you're not even aware that he already answered the prayer because you haven't changed your mindset. Your mindset is stuck on the old. And if it's stuck on the old, you don't even know that you're sitting in the very thing that you just prayed for. So I prayed, I want more time with my kids. I want more time for Terrence and I. Here we got all the time in the world. I was doing one coaching call, a group coaching call on a Monday, and was free the rest of the week to do whatever. But I felt that I couldn't I got to be doing something next. I wasn't rinsing and repeating the very thing that was working. I wasn't doing that. I kept feeling like, oh, we should do this. I kept coming to him with every other idea. Well, maybe we should do this because these people are doing this. And he's like, get offline. Just do what's working for you right now. But I had too many voices, number one, in my head. Number two, I also couldn't let go of the old version. Like, you work 8 hours. I'm not working 8 hours. It's like I was probably working a 4-hour work week, and then creating content was only a couple of hours. So it was all this time. So letting go of the old version, I think, was sometimes I felt like I was clinging to that for sure.
Okay.
So for you, how was it letting go the old version of those businesses? Like, me as my spouse, how was it watching me go through that letting go of that old version?
A little bit of irritation. Irritating. Yeah.
He was irritated with me. He handled it real good.
Irritated. I mean, just because you're irritated with someone doesn't necessarily mean you got to be irritated to the point where it jeopardizes or messes up with the relationship. That's just one aspect. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm irritated, but it doesn't spill into the rest of the day or the rest of you. It's just that one piece of you that I was irritated about. So.
Okay, so he was irritated.
So.
That's fine. I mean, you handle it very well.
But it can go vice versa. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I'm sure you were not just, it was a lot that you were irritated with in that time frame, because I had no inkling or no idea what I was going to do at that point. And dealing with that process was not only hard for me, but hard for you. So.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely was challenging, but it didn't stop me from loving us as a couple. We still did all the things that we were doing, going on dates. We still went away. We still prioritized. We still did stuff with the kids, even though it was a little bit of a struggle bus over here. Dragging him, like, let's go do this. And you're such a creature of habit that we just went to the same places that he enjoyed when we lived in California. So, but it was, I don't know. Let me know in the comments how it is for you when you have to let go of something. Does it happen easily for you, or which party in your relationship, who is the culprit that don't want to let go of stuff? Because one of the two don't want to let go of something. And if it's both of y'all, I'm gonna pray for y'all. That's what I gotta say. Because it's not easy if it's both of you.
No.
For sure. So how would you say to align your business with your purpose?
Well, first you got to know your purpose. You can't align your business with your purpose if you don't know what your purpose is.
Well, how many people just start business because it's about to make some coins? They see everybody winning. You're like, I'm going to do this and this is not my purpose.
That's a good question. I don't, what I've realized in going through everything that what we've gone through and starting businesses and starting over, and now we're starting over again with a new business. You can't really start anything for the money aspect of it. So I think now we both know, we've both sat down and really understood what we want for us and our family, which then in turns, if our purpose is unity and having a strong united front for our family, then that's when you can go ahead. Now we have the purpose together. Now we can go ahead and start a business that aligns with that purpose.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. I think that when you identified the one thing, which that was hard for us to find what that one thing was, because he's a creative, I'm a creative, but I'm not in his lane of creativity. I think very simplistic, like what is the quickest way, the easiest way to get to the results? And he, sometimes in my eyes, it looks like it takes a little longer because he's very patterned. He's very, so it looks different. But I think when you can define what that one thing is that you guys are going to build together, and that's the journey that it's the rough part that you don't sometimes come to as easy. It doesn't become easy because it might not be in your natural ability.
Right.
Like Terrence always says, oh, my wife is more the talker. You do that, right? But then there's some people that might not vibe with me that's going to vibe with him. I notice that men, when it comes to negotiating and stuff like that, I'm very nice and I don't have a problem saying my price. But Terrence will sometimes think about things that I will not at that moment. And I'm the pricing, all of that. But he's like, did you take into consideration this, and this, and this? And I was like, I didn't. So now when it comes to anybody trying to negotiate something that maybe a speaking arrangement or a speaking gig or anything like that, I just was like, okay, he's going to finalize all of that. That was something I had to relinquish control of. And I realized I wasn't good at it. So I'm like, okay, here's my brand manager. He's my husband, but he's the one that's going to negotiate pretty much everything. And if it doesn't work for us, bye-bye. Like, we're okay with that. So you have to determine what that one thing that you're going to build, and that sometimes looks different, right?
You first have to find out what you guys' purpose, and that purpose has to be, I think, that it has to be the same goal and same purpose in order to build and align your business.
Facts.
Because if both of you on two separate purposes, then how are you going to align together and build a business together?
100%. And that
has been our biggest thing, is one's building something over here and one's building something over here. And then, like, for me, I'm still hoping you build over here and still trying to build something over here. It's just,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And then still try to be a good husband, a good father.
Yeah.
Or a good wife, or a good.
And while we say it doesn't work, it might work. Y'all might have some couples out there that's like, it works for us, and that's good. It didn't work for us. And so let me just be clear about that. It did not work for us because our main purpose together, Terrence and I are both the firstborn of our sibling set. And when we came together, there were certain things that we want to break certain barriers for our siblings or our family or our bloodline. So that we had in common. And so we were both driven towards making something different. Like when we bought our home, at first I was like, I'm not on board, babe. Maybe we should just stay here. But he was like, no, I want a home. I'm like, okay, so now I'm on board. How are we going to get there? And then we came up with a plan, and that was it. So I think for us, we've always wanted to do certain things. Like from the foundation, we knew we were going to do great things together
Right.
for our family. Whatever your great is, that's your great. And I think when you can define that, then you're going to find some bumps, but it's just easier when you know that we are both working towards certain things. So that was definitely. So what were some of the lessons that you learned from starting over?
Ooh, it's not easy. I really haven't had to start over besides getting out the military, getting out the Marine Corps. So starting over from there, and for me, I didn't take the time while I was in, because there are people who are able to do the Marine Corps and still know who they are as an individual.
Yeah.
But coming out of high school, the video cassettes that we got from the recruiter, I used to watch that a lot. So over and over again. And so I kind of married the fact that that's going to be my identity, and never took the time to
develop
myself outside of, because at the end of the day, there's going to be a time whether you do 4 years, 8 years, or 20, or even 30 years. And if you're on the opposite side, even 40, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to step away from it. The lessons I learned is that starting over is very difficult. You're going to, in your head, you have to stay strong mentally. You have to attach yourself not attach yourself, but look outside of what you have going on in your head, and is it really starting over? It's just a new chapter in your life. So it's not really starting over. It's just a new chapter.
Yeah, I would definitely say, witnessing your journey of starting over, I think community is vital. And for men,
that is vital. That was another thing I tried to take on. I wasn't honest. I didn't want anyone any other men in my space.
And why is that?
Figured I could do it on my own.
But in the Marine Corps, you're not taught to do anything.
No, you're not. But, I didn't think of even people or, Marines that were still in. I just didn't feel like bothering them with what I was going through. But yes, a community is very important, especially with the transition for me, with the transition of coming out in the Marine Corps and coming into this hostile civilian world.
Yeah, because we ain't loyal over here. We ain't loyal. Not the way those Marines are. I remember when we first came into, when we first met, and the friend that we met at her house, she had asked him like the next day, "Hey, I need a fridge removed." And I said, "You gonna ask a stranger?" She was like, "Child, he a Marine. That's how we get down." And I was blown away that he showed up, he did it, and then he went home by his business. I said, "Oh, this is different." But I was surrounded with a lot of Marines, which was not even my world at all. But I ended up being surrounded by a bunch of Marines, which is how we met. But that was something that was very different to me, because it's like, if you're a stranger, I'm not asking a stranger.
Even with us being married and we moved into our place.
Yeah, our movers did not show up, and all of his Marines came and moved, and he was like, "Just get them some beer and some pizza and they'll be fine." And it was a bunch of young kids came and moved, and they did such an amazing job. And so that was a new introduction too, of like the power of community. Again, I think for even as couples, we might be segueing a little bit, but your community is vital. And I'm not saying have everybody in your business. Be very intentional about what you share in your business. In your marriage. However, being surrounded by people that you either aspire to, or God didn't design us to be by ourselves, which is why he put us in relation. He says it's not good for man to be alone, but also in marriage too. When he was going through that, right, when he was starting over, And I know right now we're not talking about business, but we're talking about life.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was starting over, it was the community of other married women that were like, they can see from a bird's eye view. Even if I didn't complain, I didn't say anything, but it would be sometimes my clients and they would just say something. I'm like, are they in my business? But that's how God will, you're praying and like, how am I going to do this? And they would just give me a word of encouragement. And they didn't even know they were spilling some tea to really help me win and win in this area called marriage. And a lot of my clients were married 50. I had one client 55 years. I had people 30, 20. It was like, when I looked at like the clients that I was serving at that season, everybody was married. I had very little of people that were single.
Yeah.
And so that that makes a world of a difference as well. So tying it to business, simplicity. Oh my God. I think that we overcomplicate business 100%. We went down to one software that we use. One. And it does everything. And I think that a lot of times you are trying to be everywhere that you're getting nowhere.
Yeah.
Which is why, right before we started recording these podcasts, I was like, do you want to do audio too? And he was like, YouTube is the only platform we're going to focus on.
I didn't sound like that.
Well, that's what it sounds like to me in my head.
Okay.
Not that that's your voice, but it's like, girl, there you go again. That's remembering what I would say. But simplicity is key. I think we overcomplicate business. I think that you need to get your reps in. And so in order for us to run, even when I was doing the coaching, consulting, when I was all of that, like emails in one place, just one simple thing. You solve one simple problem. The beauty of one, keeping everything at one, which would you agree or disagree? Yes. That makes the starting over
easier
when it's one focus, one goal, one mission, one.
Yeah.
That's it. One, they tell you to have, because he does a lot of in branding and marketing. So you definitely need different segment groups, but the goal is the one thing, right? And so I think that makes a world of a difference. And for us, it makes it easy to communicate.
Yeah.
It makes the focus easy to say, when we had so many different names. I couldn't keep up with the names. I'm like, oh, Charger Worth Academy. Oh, then I'm Angelic Prather. Oh, then it's Dream World Media Group. Oh, then it's Robin Laurel. Then it's Robin Laurel Hair Salon. It was so many different things that it was like one thing. So I think keeping it simple, a part of your starting over, makes a world of a difference. Trim the fat, skim it down, and you're like, this is so simple. That's when you start to see the synergy. That's when it'll become easier. And then tying it to life, when I just was like, you know what? I'm a mom. That's my role. Like right now.
At this moment and in this, which your role is always going to be a mother.
Yeah. Like
right now you're in the thick of
raising them. Yeah. Like that's just making my life simple. Like it comes down to a simple thing, but no is okay. Like it's a complete sentence and I don't need to keep explaining myself.
But see, that's where America has shifted the whole family dynamics, making us believe that we both parents have to work, and then who's raising our children? When our main focus should be raising our children.
Yep.
If you have children, raising your children, and from there, if you have children, and that should be your purpose, because God given you that responsibility. Once you realize that, okay, this is my purpose. What can my wife and I do together in order to be able to raise our children, but also bring in income to help provide for us?
Yes. And to piggyback off of that, I think that we buy into the lie of like, it has to be making thousands, you don't have to live at the poverty level, but you can make really great money, but it does look different. And I think that a lot of us put our identity in what we do. So when that is like, we're kind of programmed. You go to college, which I was always anti-college, but that's another topic. But, I was okay to just like, I don't have to go to college to make money. Like that, you just have to redefine what that looks like for you. Right. And so whatever that thing, make it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And it will be so much easier. So now I want to ask you, what advice would you have for those couples that are facing a pivot in business or in life?
I would say first, both of you sit down and talk, and figure out how you both can get on the same page in the book. Have a book and get on the same page. I mean, once you guys sit down and talk, try to figure out your goals, what your individual goals are, and then marrying those individual goals into becoming one. Bringing those goals together, and then writing down those goals separately, and then seeing where both of you can fit in together to accomplish those goals. That would be one. That would be an advice for couples who are facing a pivot. Once you have those goals, figuring out what's the main goal at that point. You don't have to attack all of those goals at one time, but what is that main goal? And then set that focus to accomplish that one main goal together. Whether it be, okay, well, she's going to work on her master's degree. So as she's working on her master's degree, as the husband and the father, I'm going to be here to not only support her, but I got everything dealing with the kids and everything of that nature. That's just one example. It doesn't have to be school entrepreneur. If one person is stronger in something than the other, then you guys can figure out the roles, but that's another topic. Just come to one conclusion, get the goals together, and then pick out the one goal that both of you are excited about attacking together. And then if y'all are both excited about that, then it'll be easier for you guys to accomplish and make that pivot.
Yes. Love those.
Thank you.
Good, boo. I would definitely say to the couples that's facing the pivot, God gave me this analogy, and I think it is so powerful, and it's been like kind of a mantra, and it's pivot stands for a placement into vision on time. And a lot of times when you think of a pivot, you start in one place and you're moving to the next place, right? And so when you are like, as a couple, you're coming to a new version or a new season in your life or your business, your marriage, whatever it is, then like he said, you write the vision down. If you don't have a vision and it's in your head and it's in his head, then you don't even know what you're working towards, right? And so that means the vision is clear, is blurry. There is nothing, right? So you have to write the vision and make it plain. So the scripture gives us that plain, but it also, the second part of that scripture also says, he that sees can run. I can't see what's in your brain.
Right.
And so it's important to do that. But I think something that he also says, so my like 3 little tips is actually pray about it, because a lot of us can sometimes be trying to borrow things that has nothing to do with us, right? Like society is like, oh, I want that like entrepreneurship, I want that Lamborghini, I want this. There's nothing wrong with those things, but that's not the season you're in right now.
Well, I want a G-Wagon. So
you want all the cars, okay?
I want a G-Wagon, a Tesla truck. I don't care what y'all say about the Tesla truck. I mean, there are some wants, but I go ahead.
Right. So I think you should really pray, and as a couple or even if it's just if the other person is not willing to really pray about it, whoever's stronger than, it's like, God, give me clarity, give us clarity. Let us be on the same page. And I know that people say, well, I'm praying and it's nothing happening. You have to pray from a place of victory, not a place from like defeat, right?
Quick question. You said even if the other individual is not willing to pray. I feel like if one person is stronger in prayer and you ask your spouse or significant other to come pray with you, then he should come pray, or they should come pray with you.
I wouldn't 100% agree, but I don't know where everybody's at in their faith journey.
Okay, so. You're right. All right. Okay.
So I'm not going to assume everybody's in that faith journey, but if I'm like, babe, we should pray together, you have no problem with it at all. Like, it's not a big deal for us to pray as a couple. When I would go speak on stage, you would pray for me before I got on the stage. So that's just the nature of ours. I don't know where everybody else is. So I definitely say pray for guidance and wisdom. This is where you do not share what you're thinking to everybody.
That's a good one.
Because I would do that. And so it would cloud the version. I'm just telling you from my experience, okay? It would cloud the vision that I would have, or like what we were trying to do. So you got to get quiet. And sometimes we just be diarrhea of the mouth. Keep it close. And then the second thing is communicate it openly, even when you feel like the fear, like, of what your partner's response is going to be, what your significant other's response is going to be, that's not your business. Just tell them exactly what it is that you're feeling about the start over. Because every time that I did not share with him exactly how I was feeling about a decision that we made collectively, I would turn around and then tell him when we're in the thick of it. And like, this is what I was worried about. And he's like, well, why didn't you say anything? Right? So I think sometimes we punk out and just assume that they're going to know what we're feeling.
Or it's the blame game.
Yes.
But
Oh, you trying to put me under the bus?
No, I didn't say your name. I just looked at you and said, or it's the blame game, that's a whole nother topic.
No, we can cover it a little bit.
No?
Yes, I did the blaming because I didn't have good communication skills. So that's,
okay.
Yeah. But I did not articulate my fears in the pivot.
Mm-hmm.
I did not articulate the things that was happening in my mind that was worries and doubts. I would sometimes, like I said earlier, would go to other people. Well, what if this doesn't happen? First of all, I'm in a marriage with him. I'm not in a marriage with them.
Right.
And I think sometimes we rely on advice from others rather than talking to the partner, talking to your spouse that you have. So that was one thing. And then take one small step. Once you guys, you've prayed, God's given you clarity, you guys are on the same page, you communicated your fears, they either assure you or just say, I don't have the answers, but we can ride this wave together. Mm-hmm. Like, that's okay too. It's like, he don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have all the answers, but we're going to take this pivot and we're going to stand in it together. That is the beautiful thing. Because if it, all it can do is teach you a lesson, you ain't going to die.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of our fears are just based on the pretend version of that we made up in our head, the pretend movie, and it's not even real.
The pretend version of what we are supposed to be at a certain age or time in life.
All of that. Yeah, it's just like, make up the version of your us, or make up that version in your head. Like, someone helped me with this. It's like, okay, write all the fears down and then write what, if these things don't come true, what are the other outcomes? And I think sometimes the fear becomes so big because that's the movie that we keep reciting. And I'm not to go super deep, but I think that's an attack of the enemy on our minds, right?
She's about to get deep.
But when you have that attack that happens in your mind, you cannot see. Then you become blind. And the enemy's trick is to make you deaf, dumb, and blind, right? He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So if you're deaf, dumb, and blind, you can't hear what he has to say. You can't see where you're going. You're just like, you feel double-minded. And God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. So you're not getting to the results of a sound mind because the movie that's being played in your head, the attack that's happening on your mind, is keeping you deaf, dumb, and blind, which is why you can't make a decision.
See, this is why I have her talk all the time. I have her talk the most because she knows how to put it in words.
God just gave me that. You good too, bro. You good.
Thank you.
So yes, just be intentional and take one step. That's just the one thing that towards that vision. And he said that, you alluded to babe. So when you just take that one step, it's going to make a world of a difference. So that's what we have for you today. I hope that this blessed you in some type of way. You feel encouraged that it's okay to take that pivot. Yeah. You're just getting into the right place, the right position. And even when and if God is at the center, it's going to work.
It's going to work.
It's going to work. It's
going to work. It might not be as quickly as you think it's going to work, but it's going to work.
It's working on you. Yeah. I think Myron Golden, I call him Uncle Myron. But like, what up, Uncle Myron? No, but it works on you, right? So even if it doesn't work, like when he said that was very powerful for me because I'm like, all of this stuff that didn't work, it made us this.
Yeah.
It bought this. It bought the unity. It bought peace. It bought all of that. And no, we don't have all the money in the bank account. But we know how to spend some money. We don't have conversations about money. We know how to spend some money. But it brought us here. Yeah. And if it took all of those trials and all those tribulations for us to sit here and laugh and joke about it and be at peace.
Right.
Like when we turn these cameras on, we still friends.
We're still friends.
Right?
We're still at peace.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about no dollar. I'm not worried about no money. I'm not worried.
Which is why we can show up this way, because we're like, we need to have these conversations publicly because why are we out here in the struggle bus trying to figure this
and not waiting until we make it to then come on camera. And that's the whole point of Vision for Us.
Yes, it is.
So we would like to thank you guys for showing up. Go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and share these episodes.
Comment your takeaway too. We want to know.
And also, yes, comment, please comment your takeaways. Even put in the comments on some subjects that you might want us to speak on. Now, there are some certain things that we will not speak on, but we will let you guys know that if we'll let you know if you ask for something, and we'll be transparent with you guys and let you know that we are not going to be speaking on that. All right. So on that note, I hope you guys have a wonderful
and blessed day. We'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye.